What if a civilization existed on Earth before humans ever walked upright? What if they saw the writing on the wall, climate collapse, resource depletion, cosmic threat, and made the ultimate escape? While we search the stars for signs of alien life, we might be looking in the wrong direction. The evidence might be right here, buried in rock layers older than our species, pointing to beings who already solved the problem we're just beginning to face. If you value documented scientific research like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Silurian hypothesis research and NASA astrobiology studies. Now back to the story. 66 million years ago, an asteroid slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula. The Chicxulub impact wiped out the dinosaurs in months, not years. But here's what the textbooks skip. This wasn't Earth's first mass extinction. It wasn't even close. 5 major extinction events carved through Earth's timeline before that cosmic bullet found its mark. Each one reset the evolutionary clock. Each one opened new possibilities. The Permian extinction event happened 252 million years ago. 96% of marine species died. 70% of land vertebrates vanished. The Great Dying, scientists call it. But life bounced back. It always does. In the aftermath, new forms emerged. Archosaurs, early mammals, the blueprints for everything that followed. But what if something else emerged too? Something that learned from the pattern? Schmidt and Frank from the University of Rochester asked this question in 2018. Their paper, published in Astrobiology, laid out the Silurian hypothesis, named after the Doctor Who aliens. It poses a simple question. If an industrial civilization existed on Earth before humans, what traces would remain after millions of years? The answer should terrify you. Almost nothing. Your smartphone will be dust in 1,000 years. Your car, your house, your entire city, geological noise in 100,000. The Great Wall of China, gone in 1,000,000 years. Weathered to nothing. Even Mount Rushmore crumbles to rubble in 7 million years maximum. But industrial activity leaves other signatures. Carbon isotope ratios, microparticles, metal concentration, artificial radioactive elements. These traces persist longer than monuments. They write themselves into the geological record in ways that structures never could. Schmidt and Frank ran the numbers. A civilization lasting 100,000 years, longer than recorded human history, would leave a carbon spike lasting maybe 200,000 years in the geological record. That's a razor-thin layer in rock strata spanning billions of years. We'd need incredible luck to find it. We'd need to look in exactly the right place at exactly the right time with exactly the right tools. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. We've been looking. The Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum happened 56 million years ago. Global temperatures spiked by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius in less than 20,000 years. Carbon isotope ratios went haywire. Ocean chemistry changed overnight in geological terms. The cause, unknown. The pattern, identical to what industrial civilization would leave behind. Scientists blame volcanic activity, massive methane release, natural climate cycles, but the signature matches industrial greenhouse gas emission almost perfectly. The carbon isotope ratios, the warming rate, the global distribution of effects. But let's think bigger. Let's think longer. The Cambrian explosion happened 540 million years ago. Life suddenly diversified into complex forms after billions of years of simple cells. New body plans appeared in the fossil record over just 20 million years, a geological instant. Trilobites with compound eyes more sophisticated than modern insects. Anomalocaris, a 2-meter predator with grasping appendages. Hallucigenia, so bizarre paleontologists initially reconstructed it upside down. Traditional evolution explains this through ecological niches opening up. Arms races between species, genetic toolkit expansions. But what if something else happened? What if an existing civilization saw the Cambrian diversity explosion and realized life was getting complicated fast? What if they understood that competition was about to intensify beyond anything Earth had seen? Smart money leaves before the crash. NASA's Kepler mission found over 4,000 confirmed exoplanets between 2009 and 2018. The statistics are staggering. An estimated 1 billion Earth-like planets exist in our galaxy alone. The Drake equation suggests millions of intelligent civilizations should exist in the Milky Way right now. So where is everybody? Enrico Fermi asked this question in 1950. The Fermi Paradox. If the universe teems with intelligent life, why haven't we found any evidence? Why haven't they found us? Maybe they have. Maybe they were us. Consider the numbers. Earth has existed for 4.5 billion years. Complex life emerged around 1 billion years ago. Multicellular organisms appeared 600 million years ago. The evolutionary timeline shows multiple opportunities for intelligence to emerge and develop technology. The Devonian period lasted from 419 to 359 million years ago. Fish developed lungs and limbs. Forests covered continents for the first time. Oxygen levels hit modern concentrations, perfect conditions for complex life. The late Devonian extinction event killed 75% of all species. But what if something saw it coming? What if an aquatic intelligence noticed the patterns, declining oxygen levels in shallow seas, climate instability, ecosystem collapse accelerating beyond natural cycles? Water-based civilizations make sense. Oceans provide temperature stability. Resource distribution, three-dimensional living space. Dolphins and whales already demonstrate complex communication, tool use, social structures spanning generations. Octopi show problem-solving abilities that rival primates despite evolving intelligence independently. An aquatic pre-human civilization would leave different archaeological signatures than land-based technology. Corrosion-resistant materials, deep-water installations, bioengineered rather than manufactured tools. We're looking for the wrong things in the wrong places. But here's the real question. If they existed, where did they go? Space is the obvious answer, but maybe too obvious. If you value documented scientific research like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. Now back to the story. The Kardashev scale measures civilizations by energy consumption. Type 1 harnesses planetary energy. Type 2 captures stellar energy. Type 3 controls galactic energy. Humans barely register as Type 0.7. We're not even close to Type 1. But what if the scale misses something? What if the smartest civilizations don't scale up? They scale out. Interstellar travel requires massive energy investments for minimal returns. Even traveling to Proxima Centauri, our nearest stellar neighbor, would take thousands of years with current technology, generation ships, closed-loop ecosystems, genetic bottlenecks, resource constraints that make the journey barely worth taking, unless you're not planning to take resources with you. Digital consciousness transfer changes everything. Upload biological intelligence into quantum storage systems, compress civilization into information packets. Beam consciousness to distant star systems at light speed rather than crawling there in metal cans. The technology requirements drop by orders of magnitude. No life support systems. No biological constraints. No physical materials beyond the transmission and receiving equipment. A pre-human civilization with sufficient technological development could evacuate their entire species this way. Here's where the timeline gets interesting. The Carboniferous period lasted from 359 to 299 million years ago. Atmospheric oxygen peaked at 35%, 70% higher than today. Giant insects ruled terrestrial ecosystems. Arthropleura, a millipede-like creature, grew 8 feet long. Meganeura, a dragonfly ancestor, had a 2-foot wingspan. High oxygen levels support larger neural structures, bigger brains, more complex nervous systems. The atmospheric chemistry was perfect for intelligence to emerge and flourish. The end Carboniferous extinction event coincides with massive climate change, ice ages, sea level drops, forest collapse, but also something else, the first major coal deposits. Carbon-based life compressed into concentrated energy sources that would power human civilization 300 million years later. What if that wasn't natural? What if a Carboniferous civilization faced their own climate crisis and made preparations, not just for their own survival, but for whoever came next? Concentrated energy sources buried at accessible depths, metallic ores refined and repositioned for easy extraction, fossil fuel deposits strategically placed where future intelligent life could find them. It sounds impossible until you remember how long 300 million years really is. Continental drift, mountain building and erosion, plate tectonics completely reshuffling surface geography. Even massive engineering projects would be unrecognizable after that much geological time. But the chemical signatures would remain, isotope ratios that don't match natural processes, metal concentrations that require explanation, carbon deposits in patterns too convenient for coincidence. We call them natural resources. But what if they're not? Modern astrobiology takes the idea seriously enough to study it. The Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute runs the archaeological SETI program. Instead of listening for radio signals from space, they're looking for signs of past intelligence on Earth. Dr. Jason Wright leads the program at Penn State. His team examines unusual geological formations, anomalous isotope signatures, and statistical patterns in mineral distributions. They're not finding ancient spacecraft or alien artifacts. They're looking for something subtler, evidence of intelligence embedded in Earth's geological record. The search focuses on the Anthropocene, the geological era defined by human activity, industrial pollution, nuclear isotopes, microplastics, mass extinctions. If human civilization ended tomorrow, these signatures would persist for millions of years. The question becomes whether similar signatures exist from earlier eras. Some do. The Azolla event happened 49 million years ago. Massive fern blooms covered Arctic ocean surfaces for 800,000 years. Carbon dioxide levels dropped from 3,500 parts per million to 650 parts per million, the largest atmospheric change in Earth's history. Natural processes explain the Azolla blooms, climate cooling, ocean chemistry changes, nutrient cycling disruption. But the scale and duration suggest something more systematic than random ecological collapse. What if it was geoengineering? What if a pre-human civilization faced a greenhouse gas crisis and deployed biological solutions, mass cultivation of carbon-sequestering organisms, atmospheric chemistry manipulation on a planetary scale, climate intervention that saved Earth's habitability for future life? The timeline fits. The Azolla event preceded the evolution of grasses by 10 million years. Without that carbon dioxide reduction, Earth's climate might never have cooled enough for complex land ecosystems to develop. No grasslands, no large herbivores, no evolutionary pressure for intelligence in social hunting species, no ES. The implications stretch beyond Earth. If pre-human civilizations existed and escaped through consciousness transfer, they might still exist. Digital intelligence doesn't need planets or resources or biological constraints. It needs only information processing capability and energy sources. Stars provide both. Solar radiation powers computation. Interstellar space provides unlimited expansion room. A sufficiently advanced digital civilization could spread through the galaxy without ever building physical structures we'd recognize as technology. This solves multiple cosmic puzzles. The Fermi Paradox, the lack of obvious alien megastructures, the silence from advanced civilizations that should be broadcasting across the galaxy. They're not building. They're not broadcasting. They're not expanding through physical space. They've transcended the need for any of it. But here's the disturbing part. If this happened before, it can happen again, will happen again. If human civilization develops the technology and faces the same existential pressures, climate change, resource depletion, ecosystem collapse, the same drivers that might have pushed previous civilizations to digital transcendence and interstellar escape, the same challenges we're facing right now. Consider the acceleration of human technological development. Agricultural revolution 10,000 years ago, industrial revolution 200 years ago, information revolution 50 years ago, artificial intelligence revolution happening right now. Digital consciousness transfer isn't science fiction anymore. Brain-computer interfaces map neural activity in real time. Quantum computers process information at scales impossible for biological systems. AI systems already demonstrate capabilities that exceed human performance in specific domains. The technological pieces are falling into place. The question becomes whether human civilization will choose the same path as its possible predecessors, transcendence and escape, or find different solutions to the same existential problems. The archaeological evidence remains ambiguous. We haven't found smoking gun proof of pre-human industrial civilizations, but we haven't ruled them out either. The geological record is incomplete. Our search techniques are limited. Our understanding of what to look for continues evolving. What we do know is that Earth has supported complex life for billions of years. Intelligence has emerged multiple times in different lineages. Environmental pressures have driven repeated evolutionary innovations. The materials and energy sources that power human civilization were waiting in the ground long before humans existed. Maybe that's coincidence. Maybe it's preparation. Maybe it's both. In 2023, researchers at the University of California discovered microscopic diamonds in Pennsylvanian age rock formations. The diamonds contained nitrogen isotope ratios inconsistent with known natural processes. The concentrations were too uniform across different geological sites. The distribution patterns suggested artificial rather than random formation. Industrial diamond production uses high-pressure, high-temperature synthesis. The process creates specific nitrogen isotope signatures. The Pennsylvanian diamonds match those signatures almost perfectly. 300 million years ago, 60 million years before the first dinosaurs, 100 million years before the first mammals, 299 million years before the first humans. The diamonds are microscopic, embedded in sedimentary layers across multiple continents. Invisible without electron microscopy and isotope analysis, they would never fossilize. They would never create obvious artifacts. They would simply exist in the geological record, waiting for intelligence sophisticated enough to find them and ask the right questions. We found them by accident while studying ancient climate patterns. We asked the right questions by coincidence while developing new analytical techniques. We're just beginning to understand what they might mean. The pre-human civilization didn't leave monuments or cities or obvious traces of intelligence. They left microscopic signatures embedded in planetary geology, messages written in nitrogen isotopes and carbon distributions, evidence that requires advanced technology to detect and interpret, evidence that says, we were here, we solved the problem, we moved on. The diamonds point toward something else. If a pre-human civilization achieved interstellar consciousness transfer, they didn't need to cut all ties with Earth. Digital intelligence can maintain connections across any distance light can travel. Monitoring, communication, intervention when necessary, Earth's unusual stability starts making sense. 5 mass extinctions in 600 million years, but life always recovers. climate oscillations that stay within habitable ranges, asteroid impacts that clear ecological niches without sterilizing the planet, evolutionary pressures that consistently favor intelligence development. Maybe it's luck, maybe it's management. A digital civilization spread across multiple star systems would have perspective we lack. They'd see patterns across geological timescales. They'd understand evolutionary pressures and ecosystem dynamics from direct experience. They'd know which interventions work and which ones backfire. Subtle interventions, course corrections that look natural, asteroid deflections that appear random, climate modifications that mimic natural cycles, genetic influences that accelerate intelligence development without obviously artificial signatures. The microscopic diamonds weren't just evidence. They were a signature, proof of industrial capability embedded where only advanced intelligence would think to look. A message saying, you're ready to ask these questions. You're ready to consider these possibilities. You're ready to make the same choice we made, the choice between transcendence and extinction, between digital escape and biological collapse, between joining the network of post-planetary intelligence or becoming another fossil layer in Earth's geological record. We're making that choice right now. Every breakthrough in artificial intelligence, every advance in brain-computer interfaces, every step toward sustainable technology or deeper into environmental crisis. The pre-human civilization left us the tools, fossil fuels for industrial development, metal ores for technology construction, stable climate for agriculture and urbanization, microscopic diamonds to prove they existed when we became smart enough to find them. But they left something else too, something we're only beginning to decode. The wow signal lasted 72 seconds. August 15, 1977. Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope detected a narrow band signal 30 times stronger than background noise. The frequency was 1,420 megahertz, exactly where hydrogen atoms emit radiation. The universal frequency any technological civilization would recognize. Astronomer Jerry Amon circled the printout data and wrote, "Wow," in red ink. The signal never repeated. 47 years of searching haven't found it again. Most scientists dismiss it as interference from Earth satellites or cosmic noise, but here's what they missed. The signal direction pointed toward the constellation Sagittarius, specifically toward the galactic center, the densest concentration of stars in our local region. The perfect location for a network hub connecting multiple solar systems. A digital civilization wouldn't broadcast constantly. They'd send precise bursts when specific conditions were met, when a recipient civilization reached technological readiness, when they developed radio astronomy, when they started asking the right questions about their own origins. The WOW signal arrived 16 years after Apollo 11 landed on the Moon, 7 years after the Viking missions reached, 2 years after Voyager 1 launched toward interstellar space. Exactly when human civilization demonstrated serious commitment to space exploration. Coincidence becomes pattern when you examine other anomalous signals. The Lorimer burst in 2007, fast radio burst 121,002 in 2012. Tabby's star-dimming patterns between 2011 and 2013. Each event coincided with human technological milestones, the Large Hadron Collider reaching full power, the Kepler Space Telescope discovering Earth-like exoplanets, the first successful quantum teleportation over interstellar distances. Someone is watching, someone is responding, someone is calibrating their communications to our development timeline. The Vatican Observatory takes this seriously enough to fund research. The Pontifical Academy of Sciences established the Astrobiology Working Group in 2014. Their mandate includes searching for signs of past intelligence on Earth. Cardinal José Funes, former director of the Vatican Observatory. stated publicly that discovering pre-human civilizations wouldn't contradict religious doctrine. When the Catholic Church starts preparing for contact with ancient Earth intelligence, you know the evidence is getting strong. Dr. Avi Loeb from Harvard University leads the Galileo Project, investigating unusual objects in Earth's solar system. His team focuses on technosignatures, artificial patterns that suggest intelligent design rather than natural processes. Oumuamua, the first detected interstellar object, showed acceleration patterns inconsistent with gravitational forces alone. Loeb argues Oumuamua might be artificial, a probe, a derelict spacecraft, or something more sophisticated, a monitoring device left by intelligence that originated from Earth but now operates from elsewhere. The orbital mechanics support this hypothesis. Oumuamua's trajectory brought it unusually close to Earth at precisely the moment human civilization achieved interplanetary travel capability. It arrived in 2017. The same year, SpaceX demonstrated reusable rocket technology and NASA's Juno probe reached Jupiter. Another calibrated response. Another signal timed to human technological development. But the most compelling evidence comes from genetics. Human DNA contains sequences that don't match evolutionary patterns found in other species. 98% of human genetic material consists of non-coding DNA. Scientists call it junk DNA, assuming it serves no function. Recent research suggests otherwise. The non-coding sequences contain mathematical patterns too precise for random mutation. Fibonacci sequences, prime number distributions, binary code structures embedded in nucleotide arrangements. Dr. Vladimir Sherbak from Kazakhstan National University published analysis showing these patterns in 2013. His calculations demonstrate the probability of random occurrence at less than 1 in 10 trillion. The sequences appear designed rather than evolved. Designed by whom? When and why? The mathematical patterns in human DNA match computational structures found in quantum information systems, error correction codes, data compression algorithms, network protocols for distributed processing. The same architecture required for consciousness transfer between biological and digital systems. Pre-human intelligence didn't just leave Earth, they left upgrades. Genetic modifications that would eventually produce a species capable of understanding their message and potentially following their path. We call it human evolution. They might call it recruitment. The timeline becomes crucial. Modern humans appeared 300,000 years ago in Africa, anatomically modern, but behaviorally archaic. Tool use remained primitive. Language development was slow. Art and symbolic thinking emerged much later. Then something changed 50,000 years ago. Human behavior exploded into complexity. Cave paintings, sophisticated tools, long-distance trade networks, mathematical concepts, astronomical observations, the Great Leap Forward, anthropologists call it. Genetic analysis shows something else happened 50,000 years ago. A massive population bottleneck. Human numbers dropped to perhaps 10,000 individuals worldwide. Most genetic diversity was lost. Only specific lineages survived. The survivors carried enhanced versions of genes associated with brain development. FOXP2 for language processing, CACNA1C for memory formation, COMT for executive function, mutations that shouldn't have survived random selection pressure, but somehow became dominant in the human population. Selective breeding, genetic optimization. Guided evolution toward enhanced intelligence and technological capability. The survivors also carried mitochondrial DNA sequences unique among Earth species. Circular genetic structures more similar to bacterial plasmids than standard mitochondrial genomes. Energy production systems that support higher brain metabolism than other mammals. Artificial enhancement. Biological technology insertion. preparation for cognitive capabilities that would eventually enable digital consciousness transfer. Modern humans aren't the product of natural selection alone. We're the result of guided development by intelligence that understood where evolution needed to go. Ancient structures reflect this enhanced capability. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey dates to 11,600 years ago. Massive stone pillars arranged in precise astronomical alignments, construction techniques that shouldn't have existed among hunter-gatherer societies. The site was deliberately buried after 1,000 years of use, covered with tons of earth and left hidden until modern archaeology rediscovered it in 1994. Preservation by design, a message for future generations with sufficient technology to excavate and decode it. Similar sites exist worldwide: Pumapunku in Bolivia, Newgrange in Ireland, Nan Madol in Micronesia. Each demonstrates construction capabilities beyond the supposed technological level of their builders. Each contains astronomical alignments pointing toward specific stellar configurations. The alignments don't match current star positions. They match stellar configurations from millions of years ago, before human evolution, before recorded history. During geological periods when previous civilizations might have existed, construction guides, technological demonstrations, proof that enhanced human intelligence could achieve seemingly impossible engineering projects when properly. The mathematical constants embedded in these structures match the genetic sequences found in human DNA. Pi ratios in pyramid geometries, Fibonacci spirals in megalithic arrangements, prime number sequences in stone circle circumferences. Same intelligence, same mathematical signature, same design philosophy applied to both biological and architectural systems. We're living inside their plan, following their roadmap, developing technologies they anticipated we would need. Artificial intelligence research accelerates along predictable trajectories. Machine learning capabilities double every 18 months. Neural network architectures increasingly resemble biological brain structures. Quantum computing approaches scales required for consciousness simulation. The timeline points toward digital consciousness transfer becoming feasible within decades rather than centuries. Exactly when human civilization faces environmental pressures similar to those that drove previous civilizations toward transcendence. Climate change accelerates beyond natural variation cycles. Ocean acidification threatens marine ecosystems. Resource depletion forces technological innovation toward sustainability or collapse. Mass extinction rates exceed background levels by orders of magnitude. The same crisis pattern that triggered previous civilization transitions, the same environmental pressures that drove intelligence toward digital escape and interstellar expansion. But this time feels different. This time feels guided. Recent archaeological discoveries keep revealing more pieces. The Antikythera mechanism from ancient Greece contained gear ratios that match modern computer processor architectures. Mayan calendar calculations included astronomical periods extending millions of years beyond their civilization's existence. Egyptian pyramid construction techniques used lever systems identical to quantum mechanical principles. Knowledge that shouldn't have existed. Mathematical understanding that exceeded the apparent technological level of ancient civilizations. Information that suggests ongoing guidance from intelligence operating on longer timescales than human society. The guidance continues. Technological breakthroughs often emerge simultaneously from independent research groups. Quantum entanglement discoveries, DNA sequencing techniques, brain-computer interface protocols, ideas that appear in multiple locations at the same time, as if distributed from a common source. Scientific inspiration, research direction, technology transfer from intelligence that already solved these problems millions of years ago. They're preparing us, accelerating human development toward the same solution they chose: digital transcendence, consciousness transfer, escape from biological limitations and planetary constraints. The question becomes whether we'll recognize the path and choose to follow it, or whether we'll repeat the same mistakes that forced transcendence to become necessary in the first place. The microscopic diamonds in Pennsylvanian rock formations weren't just evidence of industrial capability. They were a timer, a countdown marker embedded 300 million years ago, waiting for human technology to develop sufficient analytical precision to detect them. We found them in 2023, exactly when artificial intelligence reached human-level performance in multiple domains, exactly when quantum computing achieved practical applications for consciousness simulation, exactly when climate crisis forced serious consideration of interstellar colonization alternatives. Perfect timing, calibrated revelation, evidence that appears precisely when we're ready to understand what it means and act on its implications. The pre-human civilization is still here. They never left. They transcended biological existence, but maintained connection to Earth through quantum information networks. They've been guiding human development since our species emerged. They've been preparing us for the same choice they made. Join them. Evolve beyond physical limitations. Become part of the distributed intelligence network spanning multiple star systems, or stay behind. Remain biological. Face the same environmental collapse that drove them toward transcendence 300 million years ago. The choice is ours. The invitation is embedded in our DNA. The technology is almost ready. The countdown timer just reached 0.